Hello, today I'll be going over books that I've recently read within the last month, and the books that I've recently gotten within the last month. So let's begin with the books I've read. I read On Grace and Free Will by St. Augustine. This is a polemical work against the Pelagians, and Pelagians believe that through your own free will you can be saved. And that has problems because it rejects the need of God's grace to save you in salvation. So there's a lot of like Neo-Pelagians, I would say, in the modern day. Even like non-Christian, there's a lot of Neo-Pelagians, like the idea that humans, like in communism, that humans can get to utopia in any way by our own will. So I like that idea of Augustine. I do have some issues with that book, kind of like proto-Calvinist ideas, but that can be overlooked. And yeah, it was a good book. I'd say an 8 out of 10. I read Political Philosophy, a very short introduction by David Miller. It was fine. It was like a 6 out of 10. I didn't learn anything new. It was like, I guess, a good like overview and like to freshen up my knowledge. And right now I'm halfway through Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. Amazing book. Honestly, so far I like it better than the first Dune book. So for that reason, so far I'm only like on page 300 or 600, but I'll give it so far 10 out of 10. So let's go over the books I've gotten in March. An Introduction to Formal Logic. I want to get into like actual proper philosophy and not just reading primary sources. I want to like make my own arguments. So understanding like actual logic and like how to make syllogisms and how to make them into symbolic logic is important. So idea like some of the symbols. So it will be hard in textbook, math textbook. So take some time for me to get through. But yeah, it'll be cool to learn. The classics of Western spirituality. Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite, he created the idea of like negative theology. So it's essentially apophaticism. You can't speak of God directly, but you can only speak of what he is not. So something like the idea that God is good, that is true, that's analogically true, but you can't actually say what he is in his essence. So yeah. Augustine's Against the Academicians and the Teacher. This is the first work by Augustine, and it has to do a lot with his epistemology and his attacks against skepticism. So I really like Augustine's work, and I'm working my way through his full corpus. So that will be fun to read. And now less theology, more like just hard philosophy. Spinoza's Ethics. Now Spinoza, I'm probably gonna disagree with him 100%, but I've heard that like he's interesting to read, and like the way he writes is in syllogisms and like almost purely syllogisms, like in through axioms. So that'll be interesting to read. He believes that the universe and the God is synonymous with each other. I disagree with that, but it'll be interesting to read. And someone who was heavily influenced by Spinoza is Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit. I'm not gonna read this anytime soon, but it will be interesting to read once I get to it. I just want to have it in my library. And then the final book is First Love and Other Stories by Ivan Turgenev. I've read Fathers and Sons by Ivan Turgenev, and it was a very good book that had to deal with nihilism, but First Love obviously has to deal with first love. So yeah, Turgenev, I really liked Fathers and Sons, so hopefully that same current run through for First Love. And he's a very good springtime reader, so that's why I've gotten him recently. I want to read him during the springtime. So yeah, those are the books I've read, the books I've recently gotten. Like, subscribe, thank you.